On Ukraine, as you've all seen, earlier today, OMB Director Shalanda Young sent a letter to congressional leaders, which Karine was just referencing, explaining that without congressional action, the administration will run out of resources by the end of the year to procure more weapons and equipment for Ukraine and to provide equipment from U.S. military stocks without impacting our own military readiness. The resources Congress has provided for Ukraine and other national security needs have halted Russia's advances in Ukraine, helped Ukraine achieve significant military victories, including taking back more than 50% of the territory that Russia had previously occupied, and by revitalizing our own defense industrial base, jumpstarting and expanding production lines, and supporting good-paying jobs across the country. Now it's up to Congress. Congress has to decide whether to continue to support the fight for freedom in Ukraine as part of the 50-nation coalition that President Biden has built, or whether Congress will ignore the lessons we've learned from history and let Putin prevail. It is that simple. It is that stark a choice. And we hope that Congress, on a bipartisan basis, will make the right choice. There is no magical pot of funding available to meet this moment. As Director Young said, we're running out of money, and we are nearly out of time. Congress has to act now to take up the President's supplemental request, which advances our own national security and helps a democratic partner in Ukraine fight against Russian aggression.
Just following up on Ukraine, what's the plan B if this funding doesn't get approved by Congress? Is that where the Lend-Lease program could be of use? And then what's your estimation of how long before the Ukrainians run out of essentials like bullets, spare parts, food, stuff like that?
When we provide what we call a drawdown package to Ukraine, that is weapons in U.S. stocks that we send to Ukraine for use on the battlefield, we then take money Congress has given us and buy new weapons to replace the weapons we've given so that we don't impact U.S. readiness. That's the basic structure of it. When we run out of money to buy weapons to replace the weapons we're giving, and this is the point of Director Young's letter, we are not in a position to continue to supply weapons to Ukraine. That is the stakes with this vote. We need to see the Congress step up in a bipartisan way to support it, because there's no way around the simple arithmetic that if there's no funding to provide weapons to Ukraine, we're just not in a position to continue to provide weapons to Ukraine. We've asked for that funding. We've received that funding in multiple rounds since the war began in February of 2022, and we have put it to quite remarkable use, saving Kyiv, saving Kherson, winning back, or saving Kharkiv, winning back Kherson, allowing Ukraine, enabling Ukraine to retake 50% of the territory that was taken, and saving that entire country from being dominated by Russia. So at this point, it's a pretty simple choice. The Congress has got to step up and provide the funding, because in the absence of that, as Director Young put it, there's not a magical pot of money out there that we can go dip into that we have been hiding off in the corner. It's straightforward. Congress has got to provide the funding, or the United States cannot continue to support Ukraine. We will continue to try to rally others to do so, but others looking at us and saying you're not giving the money, it undermines the case that we can make to the broad-based international coalition that we have pulled together. Now, the good news is a very strong majority of both Democrats and Republicans support giving this aid, and so there is no earthly reason why it shouldn't be put to a vote in the House and the Senate. And if it were put to a vote in the House and the Senate, you'd see overwhelming bipartisan support for providing this funding.
Back on the supplemental and this letter from the OMB director, Speaker Johnson is responding, saying that the administration still failed to address their concerns about a lack of a clear strategy in Ukraine, saying there hasn't been a plan for adequately ensuring accountability. Just your response to the Speaker, and also can you sort of describe the outreach that's going on right now between the White House and members of Congress just trying to shore up support on the Hill for this?
So you just heard Jake said that in the last couple of weeks, this president has been certainly engaged with members and certainly leaders on the Hill. We don't obviously read out every conversation that he has. And we have said for many weeks, many months now, that when you think about our Office of Leg Affairs and other folks here at the White House have been in regular contact, right, with folks on the Hill. I'm always very careful on not predicting either congressional votes or either policies or getting into negotiations from here. I think the Director Young's letter today was really clear was very specific on the importance of this letter, of this funding for Ukraine, why it's important. I think when Jake Sullivan was here, he talked about what we've seen in the past almost 2 years in Ukraine and what's been able to happen, how Ukraine has been able to really fight for their freedom. What we thought, the first couple days into the war, we thought Kyiv was going to be taken right away, and they've been able to protect more than 50% of their land, as Jake stated very clearly here. And so I think it's important when you think about Putin, you think about tyranny, you think about what they're fighting against, tyranny, terrorism, a dictator, right? All of those things. We think about both Israel and Ukraine, and that is important. That is important that our leadership continue in helping Ukraine fight for their freedom.
And, last year around this time, President Zelensky came to Washington. Is there any consideration for him to maybe pay another visit to make the case to Congress for this continued funding?
I would refer you to Zelensky and his team. It's not something that I can speak from here. I don't have anything to read out.
Is that something you'd like to see?
I don't have anything that I can read out. Obviously, we are in regular communication with President Zelensky and his team, as we have been for almost 2 years now. I just don't have anything, more than 2 years actually, since before the war. I just don't have anything to share at this time.